I never thought I'd be the kind of person to hit send on an email that could topple an entire company. But life has a way of shoving you into corners you didn't even realize existed. For most of my career, I was the type who kept my head down, worked hard, and didn't stir trouble. I was the one who said yes to extra shifts, yes to staying late, yes to cleaning up other people's messes because I believed in loyalty. I believed in sticking things out, because that's what my dad drilled into me growing up. You don't just quit when things get tough. You don't make waves. You take your paycheck, you do your job, and you don't complain. That mindset kept me blind longer than I like to admit. The company I worked for wasn't a small mom and pop, but it wasn't some massive corporation either. It was mid-sized, family-owned, but operated like they thought they were a Fortune 500. They wanted the prestige without the accountability. I joined them almost 7 years ago, and for a while it felt like the best decision I'd ever made. Good benefits, decent pay, and the promise of growth. They talked a big game about promoting from within, about being a family. And I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. For the first few years, I genuinely loved it there. My team was solid, I was learning new skills, and there were people in management who seemed to care. But slowly those people left or got pushed out. What replaced them was a rotating cast of yes men and people who only knew how to look good in a meeting. Every quarter there was a new flavor of the month project that ate up everyone's time and then got abandoned the moment the next idea came along. But we all swallowed it because that's what we were told to do. The first real red flag came about 3 years in when I was asked to adjust some numbers on a report. Nothing huge. At least that's how it was framed. Just a little shift in how costs were categorized so the margins looked better. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself every company probably does this. And then I did it again. And again. Each time it got a little bigger, and each time I convinced myself that I wasn't really the one making the call. I was just following instructions. But a part of me knew. Fast forward to earlier this year. I had worked my way into a senior analyst role. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. I thought I had earned respect. Instead, I started getting pulled into closed-door meetings where managers flat out told me to make entire sections of data vanish. Not clean it up. Not clarify it. Make it vanish. They were trying to cover up massive overbilling to clients and padding invoices in ways that made my stomach turn. I tried to push back, gently at first. I'd suggest alternatives, ask questions, try to buy time. But each time I did, the response got harsher. I was told I wasn't being a team player. I was told maybe I wasn't cut out for the big picture. Then came the final straw. One of our biggest clients was a non-profit that relied heavily on grants. They were constantly strapped for cash, but they stuck with us because they trusted us. I discovered that upper management had been inflating their invoices by millions over the past 2 years. Money that should have gone to their programs was lining our CEO's pockets. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I knew if I kept quiet I'd be complicit. But before I could figure out my next move, they decided for me. I got called into HR one morning and was told my role was being eliminated. No warning. No write-ups. No chance to argue. Just a packet with severance terms and a forced escort out the building like I was some criminal. I was devastated. 7 years of my life gone in a 15-minute meeting. But after the shock wore off, something inside me hardened. If they thought firing me would silence me, they picked the wrong person. I went home, sat at my kitchen table, and opened my laptop. For years I had kept copies of every questionable report, every email where I was told to change data, every spreadsheet that didn't add up. Not because I planned this, but because something deep down knew I might need to protect myself. I started drafting an email. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't dramatic. It was factual, with attachments that spoke louder than any words I could write. I addressed it to the non-profit's board of directors, CC'd their legal team, and included a timeline of exactly how their money had been stolen. My finger hovered over the send button for what felt like forever. I thought about how this might ruin people's careers, how it might ruin mine too. I thought about the bills stacked on my counter, about the severance check that probably wouldn't last me more than a few months. I thought about how scared I was. And then I hit send. The fallout was faster than I expected. Within a week, the non-profit launched an investigation. Within 2 weeks, word got out that the CEO had been placed on leave. Then local news picked it up. Suddenly my phone was ringing off the hook with reporters asking for comments. I kept quiet. I didn't want to be the face of it. I just wanted the truth out. 2 months later, the company is in shambles. Several execs have resigned. There are lawsuits pending. Clients are fleeing in droves. And me. I'm still unemployed. I'd be lying if I said it hasn't been rough. Money is tight. Some days I wonder if I torched my own future. Who's going to hire the guy who blew the whistle? But then I remind myself of that non-profit. I remind myself of the people they serve, and how every dollar stolen from them mattered. Do I regret it? No. Not even for a second. If anything, I regret not doing it sooner. I spent years letting fear and loyalty chain me to a place that didn't deserve me. And when they cut me loose, I finally found the courage to do what was right. I don't know what my future holds now. Maybe I'll get blacklisted from my industry. Maybe I'll have to start over completely. But I can live with myself. I can sleep at night. And that's more than I could say back when I was still cashing their checks. So yeah, they fired me. But with one email, I reminded them that people aren't as disposable as they think.